So, if you've done years of inner work, you understand your patterns, you learned how to regulate your nervous system, but you still feel really guarded, you feel lonely, you feel disconnected, you may just be missing the O in the freedoms framework. The O stands for open heart, which is exactly what I'm going to be covering in today's episode. What living with an open heart actually means, like in a really practical sense. I want to share with you the science behind what an open heart is and heart coherence. And I'm going to share with you how it can actually change your life, because at the end of the day, that's what ultimately matters. This is exactly what I'm going to be going over with you today, as well as some really practical tools. I'm going to share with you 3 different exercises at the end that you can actually start applying. The O in the freedoms framework, which stands for open heart. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, go watch the very first episode that's on my channel. It's going to explain to you exactly what the freedoms framework is and how you can actually use it to create what you really desire in your life. It's a roadmap essentially for those that have a growth mindset, on a healing journey, have had a spiritual awakening, and there's like all this information out there and you're like, what do I do with it all? Can be very abstract. It can be very cerebral in the head. And so what I developed was an actual framework of skill sets. So each letter in the freedoms framework stands for a skill set that you're going to learn. So it's not like something that you have to do. It's about learning a skill set and becoming that person who really is the person that has everything that you truly desire and want in your life right now. I built this framework because I had so many people asking me, how did you create the life that you have now? Like, I have a lot of love in my life. I do what I love for a living. I sort of get to be the boss. I am the boss, literally, of what I do with my day, the relationships that I have. I have the financial means to do what I want. So I really sat with those questions for a couple months and I was like, okay, what did it require? Like, if I look back over the last 10 years of my life, and what I had to go through and the steps I had to take to be in the space that I am now, I wrote those down. I literally sat with it and was like, okay, these are the things that I had to do and continue to do in my life to create the things I love. That's why I created the freedoms framework. I want you to know why I talk about them as skill sets is because if you have been on this journey for a while and you still feel like stuck and frustrated, I just want you to know that it's not because something's wrong with you. It's definitely not because you don't have enough knowledge, because if you're here, I am sure you have listened to all the things, read all the books, you have all the knowledge, I'm sure, and you still feel stuck. And it doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It means you need a skill set. Like, these are skill sets that you learn, that you get better at, that will, as a byproduct, create more love, create more health, create more connection, create more money in your life. So with that in mind, I want to dive into open heart and what that actually means. Again, these concepts can be so abstract and philosophical, and people are left with like, okay, that sounds great to live with an open heart, but what the hell does that actually mean? And so living with an open heart means shifting from like just managing your life and surviving in your life to actually feeling connected, to feeling connected to it, to feeling connected to yourself, to feeling connected to others, because you can have a regulated nervous system even, and you can understand your patterns, but you can be completely still disconnected from your heart. You can have that like shut off and guarded. And if that's the case, you are going to feel disconnected from love. You're going to feel disconnected from other people. You're definitely going to feel disconnected from yourself, and you're going to feel like totally disconnected from life. And so living with an open heart doesn't mean that like you're an emotional mess all the time. Although you may be emotional a lot. My husband's very emotional and he's very heart-centered. But it doesn't mean like you're just a mess that can't control your emotions. It means you have the ability to actually feel in life. It also doesn't mean like being naive or letting people walk all over you. A lot of people think, well, if I live with an open heart, I'm going to become really weak. And I actually think it's the opposite. I think it's very courageous to move through life with an open heart. It's the opposite of weak. So it just means that you're available for connection. You're willing to feel even when it hurts, even when it's really hard. You're not protecting yourself from life all the time. So you're not like constantly guarded. You're not like constantly bracing for impact because you think something bad's going to happen. Most people think that they have trust issues. Like, I'll hear a lot of people say, well, I don't trust people. I really have trust issues. And what especially when we're talking about trust, what it really is just a really closed heart. And that's because of past pain. And that's why we end up closing our heart in the first place. And that can show up as like being really guarded, again, feeling really disconnection, a big fear of vulnerability will most of the time tell you that your heart is shut down, difficulty receiving love. If you can't feel emotion, that's like usually a big signal because the heart is the feminine. It's all about the ability to feel emotion. So if you can't feel emotion, most of the time that's because your heart is really shut down. Here's what I want you to hear. If you are somebody that's interested in growth and you're interested in creating things in your life and you want to manifest love or more connection, connection with others, connection with your kids, connection with like friends that vibe the same as you, if you're wanting to create or manifest more money into your life, you cannot do this without an open heart because you have to be able to receive. And if you can't receive and your heart's closed, it's going to feel really futile. It's going to feel really, really frustrating. You're going to be like, I'm trying to manifest, but I can't pull these things to me. And that's because the muscle that you use to receive is your heart. And so if that muscle is like shut off because it's not being used, you're going to have a really hard time receiving. And here's the other thing, even if you receive, like even if you're somebody that has a lot of money, you will lack connection. And so what you may not be trying to receive money, but you want to receive connection because it can feel very, very lonely when you're guarded up. Like that's why you don't feel emotion. That's why you can't feel connection to others. It's why you can't feel empathy or compassion because your heart is shut off. So even though you may have one thing inside, you're going to feel lack. Like you're going to feel a lot of lack inside. And so here's where it gets really, really powerful. Your heart is not just an emotional center. It's actually also a neurological center. And so research from the Heart Math Institute, if you've never heard of them, I highly recommend you look them up. But research that they've done has shown that the heart actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends signals to the heart, which is really crazy, right? It's like its own brain. A different brain lives in your heart. The heart actually has its own neural network. It's often called the heart brain, and your emotional state directly affects the heart rhythm patterns. So that means your emotions are affecting these. So I'm going to read this to you because I found this online. I thought it was super powerful. So the human heart contains an intrinsic nervous system, also often called the little brain or intrinsic cardiac nervous system. It's composed of approximately 40,000 neurons. These specialized nerve fibers or sensory neurites allow the heart to act independently of the brain to regulate its own activity and communicate with the brain. So it literally has its own neurological network in the heart. So it's not just about like feeling emotions. It's like, no, this thing is smart when we actually learn to start using it as a muscle. This isn't just like some hairy fairy concept. This is science. It means when you are super stressed, when you're anxious, when you're guarded, your heart rhythm becomes really incoherent. In other words, like chaotic. You can think of incoherent as like if there was a band and they weren't playing in tune together, they're just kind of all playing their own things. That's chaotic. That's incoherent. And that's what's happening in your body when you're feeling stressed and anxious and guarded. It's super chaotic. None of the systems are talking to each other. But when you feel love, when you feel gratitude, when you feel presence, when you feel connection, your heart, that brain, is actually moving into a state called heart coherence. And this is when all the systems in the body are in sync. So like everything is working in order. So like the band is all playing together. It's all playing a beautiful song. That's what's happening in your body. So just from that, you can easily understand the health implications that happen just from learning how to live from a more open heart. So again, it isn't just like some spiritual woo-woo abstract concept. It's physiological, it's biological, it's anatomical, and they can actually measure this. So again, we can use science to understand something that seems a little bit more metaphysical or spiritual. They measure this by doing what's called an HRV measurement. So HRV stands for heart rate variability. And the way that they measure it is actually by recording the time intervals between each heartbeat. In other words, every time your heart beats, there's a certain amount of seconds in between the heartbeat. And heart coherence means there's a variation in those seconds. So it's not like 10 seconds in between each heartbeat all the time. It's varying. And that's actually on a machine showing you in that heart rate variability. When there's variability in it, you're in states of coherence. But here's the other aspect. Great. That sounds awesome. This is why I love biofeedback machines. They don't really use them as often anymore. They used to back in the 60s, 70s a lot more often. But I think that any kind of biofeedback machine is so helpful when we're talking about any like abstract concepts, because abstract concepts is going to keep us in our mind instead of like a lived experience in the body. This is why a lot of people stay stuck who are on a spiritual path, because they stay up in the mind instead of pulling it down into the body. It's why we work on this over and over and over in my 10-week course From Stuck to Free. We're doing it right now. It's why we spend one call every week just on experiences that puts them in their body, because the spiritual personal growth, like all that, can be very intellectual. And I believe that we need to actually learn how to learn in the body, not in the brain, but in the body. And so biofeedback machines are really helpful in this, because they're telling you in real time when something's happening, and you can actually go, oh, okay, now I know what that feels like. So there's machines that you can use. There's tools that you can buy that actually show you when you're in a state of heart coherence. And here's the thing, when you can actually feel it physically when this happens. Like when I first started working on this myself, it was a very hard concept to understand for me. In fact, when I first started doing it, I thought it was kind of like stupid. And I was like, I don't like, it just was, I'm a doer. So it was like, it just was annoying more than anything else. But I stuck with it and I kept practicing. And when I first started feeling my heart open, I could physically feel it in my chest, like in my heart. It felt like, in fact, the first major experience I had with energy moving through my body, I always describe it as the jaws of life, like opened my chest. It literally felt like an expansion of my chest. And there are so many different devices that you can use to show you when this is happening in real time. So then you know, like, oh, that sensation in my body means I'm going into a state of heart coherence. And when you have that sensation in your body, it's sort of like an anchor point that you can go back to. If you anchor that moment into your body, you can more easily go back to it. You now are starting to create a neurological network in the brain for that, but you're also creating a space in the body for that too. You're creating a memory in the body for your brain to go back to. You have that experience now. So I found this as well. I wanted to read it to you. The other really cool scientific part about living with an open heart. So the electromagnetic field produced by the human heart is the strongest rhythmic field in the body, with a magnetic component that extends outwards in a torus shape. This field is measurable by up to 3 feet, about 1 meter, away from the body in all directions, often noted in studies using squid-based magnetometers. I can really say that word. Anyway, just another example of like, there's machines out there that can actually test this. So that means your heart emits a field. And I know when I say that, it can sound really confusing, but it's like energetic waves. Like if you think of a microwave, right? A microwave is emitting waves that we can't see, but it's heating the food up. Like you can't see what's going into the food to heat the food up. Cell phones, you can't see the information in the air, but it's sending it through invisible fields, invisible waves of information, packets of information. That's heating the food up, that's sending the text message. So you can't see those things, but you see the outcome of it, right? And so it's the same thing with this field that expands from our heart. They actually can measure that field that has an effect on other people. It has an effect on yourself, but it has an effect on other people. This is why, have you ever noticed, like when you go around certain people, you can almost like sense like, ooh, that person's a little bitey, or like they just feel very closed off or very rigid. Like I can always feel when people are very rigid, I know instantly that they have a closed heart. Like it's very guarded, and it makes you feel guarded then because you don't feel safe to open your heart. That's because the heart is literally magnetic. It will pull things to you. So when you are feeling like pushed away by somebody, it's because their heart is completely closed. So it's not pulling you in. You're not feeling like safe and good in their presence. And this is why also this is really, really important in manifestation work, working with the heart center, working with the magnet that you have in your body if you actively are working with manifestation. But we're going to go into that in another episode because that's the M in the freedoms framework is manifestation. And we're going to talk all about that. But I just wanted to note when that episode goes live that if this episode resonates, go watch that one after, because that's a big part of being able to manifest. Because again, your heart is a magnet, so it's going to pull things to you. Also, like the heart knows, like they hear that, you hear this all the time, but it's really true. Like when you're stuck in indecision, I can almost guarantee you, if you got quiet enough and you got honest enough with yourself, your heart would tell you exactly what you need to do, but your mind is going to talk you out of it. Because I've had experiences over and over and over again in my life where my mind and outside influences were telling me to do one thing, but my heart knew another. And I had to find the courage from my solar plexus to listen to my heart and take the action that I knew was in alignment for me. I saw the vision. Nobody else can see your vision. Nobody else can know what your heart is telling you. It's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to have the courage to follow through with that. And if your heart's closed down, you don't have access to that, which means you're probably going to be doing a bunch of things that feel like, why isn't this working? Or why am I because you're probably more operating from your mind instead of from your heart, because your heart will tell you the direction. It's not going to be easy. That's why people don't want to listen to their heart, and they want to pretend like they don't know the answer. They know the answer. They're just afraid of doing the thing that the heart is telling them to do. They're afraid that they're going to upset people, hurt people. They're afraid they're going to be selfish. They're afraid, all the things. They're afraid. So that's why it requires courage ultimately to be able to access your heart, which is funny because I have this book right here, The Courage to Be Disliked, sitting right here. And that's really what the book is about, is finding the courage to do so. Okay. So here's the thing. If you're wondering, like, why is this so hard, Em? Like, why can I not feel into my heart? Why can I not feel into emotions? Why can I would have a lot of people that struggled with this. They would say, like, I can think about my kids and like, I can mentally understand that I love them, but I don't feel it in my heart. Like, I don't feel it in my body. And this is because obviously your heart's closed. And this didn't happen just because you decided to close your heart. In fact, if you think about little kids, like their hearts are wide open, right? Like little kids are the best. They love everything. They love everyone. They don't have a mean bone in their body. They feel really intense emotions. Like they have no problem feeling intense emotions. But if we allow them and we don't get in their way, they usually move through them very quickly. Like they can feel angry 1 second and then the next second they're like best friends with whoever they were angry at. Like they don't hold on to resentment or to anger. They just move through their emotions very fluidly. And so they're very free. They're very open. They haven't had experiences yet that tell them they need to close their heart or that it's unsafe. And so one of the really easiest things you can do if you are somebody that feels like your heart's closed, another aspect of it is that like you're probably shut off from your inner child, your playful inner child. Like you're probably completely cut off from that part of you that's very childlike. So one quick and easy thing you can do is start hanging out with kids more. And you'll notice when you're hanging out with kids more, you'll want to like control them and have them behave, because that's what you've been doing to yourself for a very long time. Instead of just being free, being open, being playful, like having no agenda, just being present. So go put yourself around kids and be childlike with them. Like just be present with them, be imagination with them. Like it's a really surefire way to start opening your heart, is to be around kids. But as life happened, like as kids were that way, but as life happens, situations happen. We got hurt, we got rejected, we had probably experiences where we felt very unsafe. That's one of the biggest things that a child requires is safety and unconditional love. And so what happens is our systems learn it's not safe to feel and it's not safe to open. And this is, in a way, it's good because it's trying to protect you from pain, but it's also blocking you from exactly what you want to experience, which is love, which is connection, which is joy, which is meaning in your life. I believe meaning comes from connection. I believe you can't have meaning in your life if you're just doing things only for yourself, or you're only by yourself, or you're sitting in a room all day by yourself. I think you could have $1 billion and not have connection with people, and you will feel like you have no meaning in life. So I really believe meaning comes from connection with others, connection with yourself, who you really are. And if you think about a time in your life where you felt like completely madly in love, if you think about that and you remember what that felt like it was as if anything in the world could happen, it didn't matter as long as you had that love. Like the world could be ending and you're like, I really don't care because I'm in love, right? Like that. And maybe it didn't happen for you with another person. Maybe it happened with an animal. Like there's a lot of people I know that have that sort of love with an animal, which I think is just as special. It's connection, right? So if you think about that love that you've experienced with someone or something, it was like the most amazing feeling in the world. And could you imagine like going through your whole life and never being able to feel that? That's what happens when you decide, unconsciously, of course, that you need to close your heart and keep yourself safe. And if you've experienced trauma in your life, which trauma is a spectrum, I believe we all have some traumas, no matter what, just from being human, we'll have traumas. But it doesn't have to be some big thing. It's simple moments in your childhood that wired you in a specific way. And so, if you have more intense trauma, it's going to be really, really normal for you to shut down your heart and not want to connect, because trying to connect as a child and getting that shut off or blocked, or feeling like pain from your caregivers, is really going to train the system that it's not safe. And so it's a practice, right? And if you don't practice it, then you're going to go the rest of your life and never be able to feel that feeling. And I just don't know that life would be worth living if you never got to experience that level of connection and love. And this will, like a cutting off of the emotion, a cutting off of the heart, eventually it will lead to loneliness, to depression, and just being, like I said, deeply disconnected. And so learning how to open your heart is actually the antidote to that. So I want to make this, again, really practical for you. So I never want to share things that just leave you with like a concept. I always say, like, I love to blend the 5D and the 3D, the science and the spirit, the action with the being, the doing with the being. Like, I am all about those two things. It's why I developed the inner expansion blueprint. I used to call it the quadrant theory, so I'm getting used to calling it inner expansion blueprint. But it's why I developed that, because it's a guide for us to balance both, literally balance both sides of our brain. And so I think it's important when we're talking about things, it's great. You understand it. Okay, now what can I actually do with that? What action can I take on that? So first, starting with, as I said in the beginning, thinking about living from an open heart as a skill set, not as like some other thing you have to add to the list, not as like whatever, like literally just as a skill that you're learning. And as with any skill, the more you practice, the better you get. Once you start to practice, you're going to start to feel the results. Just as if you were going to the gym or learning how to ski. I love to ski, so if you know me, I always use that as an analogy. It's a really great analogy, because at first, when you're learning a new skill, as you know, like, when you've learned something new, it's really freaking frustrating in the beginning. You're trying to get your body to do different things, your mind to do different things. It's why people can stay stuck and stagnant in their life, because it's hard to start changing and learning something new. It feels so uncomfortable in our body. This is literally the first stage of the flow cycle. It's called struggle. There's 4 stages to getting into flow states, which are super enjoyable and amazing. It's how we create really amazing things in our life. But there's 4 stages, and the first stage is literally called struggle, because that first part of learning a new skill is so uncomfortable. and you want to quit. Like you do. You want to be like, this isn't working. I'm doing something wrong. Like, but if you stick with it, if you get past those initial stages and you keep practicing it anyway, I promise you, you're going to notice results. Eventually, you're going to start to notice like really small shifts. And those small shifts are like, they're giving you more power to keep going. They're giving you more like of that oomph, of that little bit of will, of that little bit of like, okay, I can keep going, because eventually those small shifts are going to turn into big ones. I promise they will. Nobody has ever learned anything new and stuck with it and not got like the benefit, the gold on the other side of it. And so if you look at living from an open heart as a skill set that you practice, you can set yourself up for success by going, okay, this is something that I'm just going to practice and get better at. It's not something like I'm going to do and then instantly I'm going to feel a certain way, which we're all used to. It's like, no, okay, I am learning how to ski, or I am going to the gym and I want to get really big arms. And so that means I have to practice this. This is not something that I'm going to get instant gratification for. So you're going to have to switch that part off in your mind that wants instant gratification. It's going to be delayed gratification. It's going to take time. Again, it's a skill set that you're learning. It doesn't come natural anymore because of all the experiences, the way that our brain and our body has been wired, our nervous system, our emotional system, our mindset, our brain, it's all been wired a certain way. And so to undo that wiring, it's going to take time, which nobody wants to hear. And it's going to take practice. It's going to take showing up. Okay. And when you do this, when you start to get better and you learn this skill set, what will this look like in your life? Like, why does it really matter? Why do I really care about this? This is what it's actually going to look like in your life. You're going to allow yourself to feel emotions without shutting down. So it's like all of a sudden you're going to have an emotional reaction, and before you would just like shut it off. You'd run or you'd fight, you'd just shut down. You're going to be able to feel that without completely shutting down, which at first feels scary until you start to feel the really good things. And you're like, oh my God, this is really, really worth it. You're able to stay present without, like I said, totally shutting down. So you will learn the skill of being able to stay present when your body is freaking out. You're going to be able to choose connection over protection. Connection over protection. It means that when you, like maybe you think you're getting rejected by a loved one or even a family member or a friend or a coworker, like if you think you're getting rejected and you immediately want to shut down because that little scared part of you, it's like, oh my God, I need to protect you from that. What you're going to be able to do is stay open and have a conversation with that person. And when you're able to do that and you can have a conversation, holy moly, the connection that can happen on the other side is like, you will have thought that this one person is this way. I've heard this so many times. This person is this way. And then when you decide, like, I'm not going to shut down because I think this person is this way, I'm actually going to choose to try to be open and vulnerable and not shut down, you would not believe how different the other person reacts because they now feel safe too. Because like I said, it's a field that you're emitting. And if you're emitting that field and they feel safe, their reaction's going to be, anyone's reaction to you when your heart is open and you're present and you're staying even in the discomfort is going to be so different than if you immediately close your heart and you shut down, because you're going to get defensive. The other person's going to get defensive. Like nothing good is going to come from it. There's absolutely no connection that's available in that. So you're going to be able to have that split second presence that's like, okay, hold on a minute, just stay. You're going to be able to share your truth, even though it's super vulnerable. You're going to be able to share that. You don't have to hide it anymore, which is exhausting. If we like really be honest about it, it's exhausting having to wear masks and hide your true self, your true vulnerable self. That's exhausting. And mostly you're going to be able to receive. You're going to be able to receive without deflecting it or pushing it away. Like you're just going to be able to stand there and receive a compliment, receive money, receive things done for you. It doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries, of course. It means that you can stay open and grounded at the same time. This is what I call in my work emotional capacity. And anything that you want in your life right now that you don't have, you're going to have to increase your emotional capacity. Literally, you have to increase that capacity. And the more that you can practice this, the better you get, the more connection you're going to feel to yourself and to others. And this is really, like I said, when you're going to begin to receive. So Ram Dass would say, can you keep your heart open in hell? And what he really meant by that is like, being human is hard and challenging. There's so many bad things that happen in the world. And like, if we let ourselves, we could be consumed by that and depressed and everything else. And so keeping your heart open in hell means, can you still remember the higher perspective and hold your heart open even when it feels really hard to do that? And I just love that. So I think I've said enough about the benefits. I really just want you to try this for yourself. Okay. So you don't have to listen to me. You have to believe me. You just have to practice this. Like, practice it for yourself. Give yourself a timeline. Like, I just did this with myself. I wrote a contract to myself the other day, giving myself a year timeline. So give yourself a timeline. Say, I am going to consistently practice this for the next 8 weeks. I'm going to consistently practice it. I'm going to give it 8 weeks. And if 8 weeks, I don't notice any difference at all, then you can stop and you can say I'm crazy and not believe me and go try to find something else. But try it. Give yourself a timeline and try it. Okay. You can't expect to do this like in a week and like expect mountains to move, right? You have to be really, really patient with yourself in this process, especially if it's a muscle you haven't used in a really long time. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel uncomfortable. You're learning a new skill set. Your mind's going to want to tell you every reason why you should stop, why you should close your heart. You're going to feel like it's not working. Just keep practicing. In the midst of all of that, keep practicing. Dr. Joe Dispenza used to say, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, which is why not a lot of people do it because it's challenging. But what else do you have to do, right? And the good news is, once you begin to feel the benefits, it's like adding fuel to the fire. You're going to be like, this is awesome. Like, I'm actually seeing this and experience this. And when your heart starts to like really stay open, oh my God, you just can't even imagine the difference in your life. Like, I literally randomly throughout the day will get what I call heart explosions. Sometimes it feels like it's literally too much to handle. Like, I'm like, this is so overwhelming. My heart is so open right now. It feels like I'm on drugs. It really does. It can feel like I'm on drugs, but it's the drugs of my own biology, which is awesome. So I'm going to share 3 different practices with you. Okay. I say to my clients and my students all the time, slow and steady wins the race. Obviously, if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm not like about quick fixes, although you will be able to experience it more quickly and sustainably if you stick with the thing. And what I mean by that is, if you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to do like a heart coherent meditation every day for 7 days, all month, or 30, like, for me, that doesn't work for me. I have learned that I have to do very small things, but stick with them. And if I do that, then it becomes sustainable. And then I see the benefits. And when I see the benefits, I do it more, but it lasts. So it's like, that's a skill set, right? It's like, once I learn that skill, I know how to do it. It lasts. It's not like a quick fad diet. And so what I say to all my clients and students is like, pick something that you can stick with, something that you know you will do, which means if you say to yourself, I am only going to practice this for 5 minutes, 3 days a week, that's fine. Like, that's so more than enough. Stick with that, right? Don't try to overdo things because it won't last. You'll fall off the wagon like you always do. Find what works for you so that you stick with it. This creates more self-trust. You're not going to trust yourself. If you don't have self-trust, you have a really hard time navigating life. You're going to be prone to giving in to what everyone tells you you should do instead of learning how to trust in your own intuition. Self-trust is created by actually following through with what you say you're going to do to yourself, like not betraying yourself by saying, I'm going to do this 7 days in a row and then only doing it 2 and stopping. You just lost your self-trust. So pick something that you can actually stick with. If it's only 2 days, like literally if you say, I am only going to do this. Now, granted, it may take longer to experience the benefits, but it's going to be sustainable. So if you say, I'm going to do this for 10 minutes, 2 times this week, great. That's enough. Do it for 10 weeks. Okay. So the first practice is, this is just about getting into a state of heart coherence. So it's really, really simple. I've been taking my clients and my students through this for the last 7 years. It feels overly simple. You're probably going to do it a couple times and you're going to feel nothing. I'm just warning you ahead of time. Like, you're going to do it and you're going to feel nothing and you're going to think it's not working. It is working. I swear to God to you, I promise you it's working. You just have to keep practicing it, okay? It's like you go to the gym, you're lifting weights, you're not going to start seeing big, huge muscles right away. It's going to take a while, okay? So just keep practicing. All right, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to put some soft music on. So just find a song. Keep it really simple. Find a song that when you hear that song, you can sort of feel emotional. Maybe it's like inspiration or sadness, even like just anything that will help you feel. Okay. So go on to Spotify, YouTube, whatever. Pick a song, a song that helps you get sort of feel a little bit more emotional. Okay. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to physically put your hand on your heart. This is telling your brain, this is where I need to focus. So putting your hand on your heart is like, it's directing your focus onto the heart center. Okay. Your eyes are closed, your hands on your heart, the music's on. Now, because it's important to use our biology in this instead of trying to just use our mind, we need to work with the body. So you need to take 10 conscious slow breaths, meaning in through the nose, out through the mouth, 10 times. Okay. This is going to change your biology when you do this. You change your biology. The fastest way is by using your breath. Okay. Because we need to get like really present and we need to open up and we need to get out of a fight or flight. So the breath is going to help you do that. Okay. Your breath, your awareness, it's going to slow the system down. It's going to move into a parasympathetic response, which means there's no danger. Okay. It's going to help you direct your focus. So 10 slow, conscious belly breaths. Okay. Once you've done those 10 breaths, I want you to pull up a memory. Now, it's really helpful if you have this on hand before you do this exercise. In other words, before you go into this exercise, think of a time, a memory that you felt joy, happiness, laughter, connected, grateful, anything like that, right? You felt connected, grateful, open. You felt, I don't know, just you felt really good. A memory, even if you were laughing really hard with a friend, right? So I want you to think of that memory before you do this practice, because I don't want you to be in this practice and be like, oh God, I got to think of something. I don't like that's going to do the opposite of what we're trying to do. So think of the memory ahead of time. Okay. So have this memory on hand. After you take the 10 breaths, you are going to go to that memory. And you're going to relive that in your mind's eye. Like all of your attention, all of your focus is going to be on that memory. I want you to get all your senses involved because the body doesn't know the difference between like if something's happening out there or something's happening in our mind. The body doesn't know. It will feel anyway. So the more you can get your senses involved in this visualization and this imagination process, the more your body's going to respond to that. Okay. So the more in depth, the more focused, the more that you can do that, the more that the body is going to respond. And so if you can insert yourself into that memory and then hold it for at least a couple minutes, like 2 to 3 minutes. That's a long time. That's a long time for us to hold focus on one thing and get our body aligned with our mind. That's a really long time. So if you can do it for 30 seconds, you're winning. But if you can, try to get longer each time. Try to hold it for about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. And then that's it. Like, that's it. That's all you have to do. A total of what? 5 minutes? It'd take you 5 minutes. This is training your system and learning the skill that it's safe to open up. It's building the muscle. Here's the thing. You can do it in the car. You can do it in the waiting room. You can do it when you're in the elevator. Like, set an alarm to go off once a day so you don't forget. And do this for 5 minutes. You're going to notice immediately once you start practicing this, how differently people respond to you. Like, not only are you going to feel it in your body, you're going to feel a little bit lighter. You're going to feel a little bit more open. You're going to feel a little bit more like positive. Like you're going to think more about possibility as opposed to like thinking of the worst case scenario. That will just come as a natural byproduct. But like I said, you're going to notice people responding to you differently because they can feel it and it pulls people in, right? It's a magnet. It's going to pull people in. Okay, so on to practice number 2. So this practice is training your system to stay open even when you're in conflict or your body wants to go in a fight or flight response, or in other words, a trauma response. So this is using the power of repetition. So we change patterns by either entering hypnotic states, having intense somatic experiences, or repetition. And then from there, we have to take action. But that's how we change patterns. And so this is using everyday moments to use the power of repetition in breaking the pattern of a closed heart. And so every single time during the day that you start to notice a response, like if you feel triggered, if you feel hurt, if you feel rejected, especially, or defensive, like those are really big moments right there. Pause and say this out loud. It's going to be really brave to say it out loud. If you don't feel brave enough to say it out loud, you can say it in your head, but say it nonetheless. Make sure you say it. Can I stay open right now? That's it. Can I stay open right now? This isn't about like trying to fix the problem when you're in conflict. You're just trying to not shut down or protect yourself. This is about just retraining this system, not to shut down and not to stay protective, but to stay open. Your mind within seconds is going to want to pull you in a million different directions and tell you all the reasons, the very logical reasons why you need to shut down or get defensive or explain your case or get angry or whatever, run away. But you have to do the opposite. You literally have to do the opposite. So when you say that, it's words are spells. So if you speak it out loud, it's very powerful, especially if you're with the other person, because then they're going to be like sort of caught off guard. Like, whoa, wait, what? What is she doing? So if you can just stay present in that moment, feel into your body, let it know it's safe, and just breathe through the discomfort, even for 5 to 10 seconds. I swear to God, 5 to 10 seconds will feel like a lifetime. If you can create that gap by just staying in the moment, saying that affirmation, feeling into your body, breathing through the discomfort, this is massive. It's like 5 pounds in the gym over and over and over again doesn't seem like a big deal, but the more that you do it, the more it's building that muscle. Like it's building that foundation, right? This is like learning how to snowplow if you're skiing, if you're learning how to ski. It's the foundational work. Like this is the foundation that you have to build upon. And again, this builds for repetition. If you use these moments in your life that you're feeling those things, use the power of repetition. So the more you get triggered, great. The more that you can practice this, the more you can tell your body, it's okay. Safe to open up my heart. Like I don't need to shut down. Okay. Lastly, this practice seems like way overly redundant and simple and overused. I totally get it. You hear it from a million people, but there is a reason for that. And this is just a gratitude practice. And why this works, I actually wrote this one down too, so you can see the science behind why gratitude is so important. So science shows that gratitude acts as a natural biological reset, shifting the body from a survival stress state to a thriving state. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reduces stress hormones like cortisol by up to 23%, increases feel-good neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, and it strengthens neural pathways associated with emotional regulation and social bonding, which is basically connection, which produces oxytocin, which is like the best inner drug in the world. Oxytocin is the best. It's what you feel when you're in love. And so this is literally what happens from practicing gratitude. However, how I'm going to talk about it is a little bit different maybe than what you've heard before, because many gratitude practices focus on just thinking about it, like just writing down and thinking about what you're grateful for. I don't believe that's going to work, especially if it's just something that you're doing like to check off the list. Like, oh, it's something I'm supposed to do, so I'm going to do it. If you're doing it in that way, you can just stop. Like, just stop, because it's not going to work. The key is you have to actually feel it in your body. You have to actually feel what you're grateful for in the moment that you're thinking about it. Feeling the gratitude is what's going to create all those things that I just talked about. It's going to release all those really amazing chemicals, and it's what's going to allow you to open your heart. But you have to feel it. You can't think about it. So you have to move from the concept in your mind of being grateful to the felt sense in your body of being grateful. So this means you can spend literally 1 minute in the morning. 1 minute. That's all it takes. So no one can say they don't have time for this. 1 minute in the morning and think about something that's happened recently that you're grateful for. And you cannot stop till you actually feel it. That's the key. So you can't just think about it. You have to stay with it until you can actually feel it in your body. Now, this can be something as simple like if you're going through a rough time and you can't really think about anything in your life that you're grateful for, you can use something as simple as your legs, like your ability to walk. You can think about what your legs do for you during the day. You can think about the thousands of people that don't have use of their leg, because there are thousands of people out there right now in the world that don't have use of their legs, and the things that they don't get to do because of that. You can think about the things that you wouldn't get to do just in your everyday if you couldn't use your leg, if you didn't have that ability. You couldn't do that with any of your other senses. Like if I couldn't smell or I couldn't taste, like holy shit, that would be not so much fun. So you can keep it very simple. If you don't have a lot of great things, like literally keep it very simple, but you have to feel it. That's the key. Okay. Or go big. Like think about oh my God, I bought groceries yesterday without even thinking about how much it was going to cost. Like, do you know most people in the US can't do that? They're adding it up in their head because they have a certain amount. And so most people, so if you went to the grocery store and you bought groceries without thinking about how much it was going to cost, man, that's something to really be grateful for. Or about having the person in your life that really loves you. Like even if you just have one person in your life that really loves you and you think about like how much their world would fall apart if you weren't there, like if that doesn't make you feel, I don't know what will. So simple thing, keep it very simple, stay with it as long as you can, but just make sure that you're feeling it. Okay. That is the key. You can do this in the morning before you get out of bed. I do this right after my meditation. I take a second. It's like a little prayer for me. I thank God for the things that I feel grateful for that day. It can be practiced on your way to work, when you're in the car, again, waiting in line in the elevator. You can set your alarm to go off once during the day, just as a reminder so you don't forget. Those are all really simple ways. You don't have to do all three of them. Just pick one. Pick one and do it 3 times a week for 5 minutes. Like it's a practice and you're going to notice if you stick with it. Okay. So lastly, as a bonus, in addition to those 3, you can also, if you want, use a breathing meditation that I created. I actually created this meditation for like entrepreneurs and business owners and coaches and people who are selling products as a way to put them in their heart before selling or creating products, because that's the energy that they're going to put in their product or they're going to put in their sales call. And so I wanted to create a way that they could listen to this breathing meditation. It's like 20 minutes right before they're going to do something. And that's going to completely change their energy around how they approach whatever it is that they're selling or creating or talking about, whatever it is. It's going to put them in that heart coherent state, which means things are going to come out totally different. The product they make is going to be totally different. And so anyone can use this. You don't have to be an entrepreneur or business, whatever. You can use this anytime. It's just a really good breathing, heart focused meditation. And I have been told by many people that I have a very good voice for meditation. So if you haven't tried any of my breathwork or meditations, I highly recommend you try this because I think you'll really like it. I think you're really going to, especially because when I do meditations, a lot of times I don't just do a meditation. I use our breath in some form or another because our breath is what helps us get into relaxed states, which is where we want to be when we're meditating, right? It's a free download. So I'll put the link to the free download in the description below so you can download that and give it a try. Okay. So, for open heart, you have plenty of resources now. The most important thing is that you practice. Like this is what's going to shift it. It literally is just going to take practice. So you build the skill and then you get really good at living with an open heart. And when you do that, everything in your life will shift. Like things you couldn't even imagine being able to feel. For me, this is why we came to the human experience, to feel and to connect. Like that's everything for me, especially now in my journey where I went from like creating a lot of outside things, which I do still. I love creating outside things, but human connection to me is like the most juicy part of being human, is being able to connect with my kids, with my husband, with my friends, just with people in general. So this is a key ingredient that can't be left out. When you're creating a life that you really, really crave, this is a key ingredient to that. It's one of the ingredients in the entire freedoms framework, but it can't be done without this. So let me know in the comments. I receive your comments. Let me know if you tried the meditation, if you tried one of the practices. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. So this is more of an interaction. And then lastly, if you're enjoying this freedoms framework and you want to learn more about it, make sure that you subscribe, but you click the red bell, because if you don't, YouTube won't notify you that I uploaded a new episode. I do them every Tuesday morning, but you have plenty of things on your mind, and that's not one thing you need to remember. So if you click the red bell, it will notify you, hey, there's a new episode that's gone live. And that way you get the totality of the freedoms framework and you can really use all of them. Like you can use all of these. They're all pieces of the puzzle. They're all skill sets. They're going to help you in creating love, connection, money, health, all the things that you really, really want and deserve as your God-given right. So there you go. Another episode. I will see you in the next one.